Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 590. That's right, we are 10 decks away now from 600. Wow. We are going to talk about Subira, Tulzidi Caravanner. It's weird. That's the word I can't pronounce, right? That's the only real word. Anyway, for 3 mana, we get a 2/3 haste. Human, shaman. 1:, so we can activate this many times. Another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn, so it can't be used on herself. Fine. So it looks like we want power 2, 1 or 0, 1 or 2 creatures. Okay, so a 2 mana tap, discard your hand. Now that's part of the cost because it's before the colon. Until end of turn, whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So right there kind of rules out the 0 power stuff. So we want small creatures, power 1, power 2. They don't need to be very big. They don't need to be buffed past 2 anyway. And they need to deal combat damage. Now, I like a couple of things here. Number one, if we can get the damage in there with, all of our tiny creatures, then we get to draw some cards because that happens for each creature. That's second ability, or I guess third. But, So let's see how this works. If we activate the last ability, we're discarding our hand. We're playing mono red, so there's a good chance we ain't got a hand anyway, right? So we drop our hand and our 3 creatures. That's probably average, right? 3. So we discard nothing because we don't have a hand. And when our 3 creatures deal damage, we're going to draw 3 cards. Now, here's the downside. Playing with tiny creatures, it's not too long before they just get overpowered and you can't get through. That's why she's got that first ability. It's she bakes the cake and then she eats the cake. So here I was thinking we need small creatures. We need a lot of small creatures. And I'm not going to lie. I was drawn initially to goblins. So, and I had thought goblins with. My first reaction was goblins with haste. Raging goblin. There are actually quite a few. I did not have them sorted out because I am not smart. The fanatical firebrand. Now, these all do other things besides just being a 1/1 haste guy. Well, except for Raging Goblin, of course. But, you can sack it to deal 1 damage. 10 Street Dodger. Torch Courier. Goblin Champion. Now, this is rate right here. Haste and Exalted. Although the Exalted, is probably never going to... If this happens to be your first play of the turn. Foundry Street Denizen. Now, this one is good. Another red creature enters the battlefield under your control. It gets +1. That can actually bump it out of Subira's range. So we got to be careful there. Skirt Prospector. Sack a goblin to add a red. Goblin Glider. I know it can't block, but it's got evasion. It does fly. Goblin Brigand. 2 mana, 2/2. Yes, I know in green this is called a grizzly bear with no drawback, but this has got a drawback which, it has to attack. Oh, okay. Goblin Motivator, Keeper of Kukas, Goblin Vandal, Goblin Digging Team. My buddy's got a wall deck, don't judge. Goblin Arsonist, Goblin Fireslinger, Goblin Balloon Brigade. Here, another flyer. And I bumped the camera, so we gotta... it was probably about time anyway, right? Frenzied Goblin, Goblin Glory Chaser, Mog Fanatic, Goblin Sledder, Goblin Soothsayer, Goblin Taskmaster, Squee, Goblin Naboo, because we can play him from anywhere, and Goblin Surgeon. Now, Goblin Surgeon, I absolutely adore. Sack a Goblin to regenerate target commander. Yeah. Now, all of those are cheap, you know what I'm saying? It's just flood the board with goblins and cast Subira, get through. We have a little bit of other card draw, Wild Guess, Tormenting Voice, Cathartic Reunion, Thrill of Possibility, of course, Skull Clamp, because Skull Clamp represents the only artifact in the deck, and I tried hard to not use any artifacts, but when I run across a Skull Clamp, I was like, this is too good to not use, Then we've got some, things that make Goblin tokens, kind of like Dragon Fodder does. We got Krinko's Command, the Instigator, the War Marshal, the War Party, Legion War Boss. So that's, now, how are we gonna, I guess my only ramp spell, Brightstone Ritual. I don't know that we'll need it, but I feel like just Subira and the Goblins is not enough. We've got to have other ways to win. So, first thought was Impact Tremors. These little goblins are going to keep coming in, and if I can get that extra free damage from just them coming into play, that's each opponent. It's beautiful. Cavalcade of Calamity. Power 1 or less, so this hits most of our goblins. We get that extra damage. Torbrand makes all of that better. I mean, all of that. The enchantments, the goblins, the everything. It's all +2. And that's kind of like tripling the value, because it's 1 damage shots. Raid Bombardment. 1 damage. Hellrider. Here again, it's 1 damage, but it's per creature you attack. We have the Goblin War Strike, which is just, because there are going to be times where even without blockers, we're having to navigate through ghostly prisons and propagandas and things like that. Just a Goblin War Strike or a Mob Justice just needs to get the job done, and then, of course, we have the Granite Grip and Claws of Valakut. We are playing mono red with an insane amount of mountains, and sometimes we can just get that commander damage win in there, right? I do have a little bit of burn because the idea that we don't want to have to discard much when we use Subira's ability. Ideally, we don't want to discard anything. So, Goblin Grenade. Can't play with this many goblins and not have a Goblin Grenade, right? A Shock, Incinerate, Lightning Strike. Yes, I would be using Bolt and Chain Lightning if I had more copies, but as of yet I don't. And then Fire Blast, because, why not? Run the Goblin War Drums, just making them harder to block. Now, I want to spend a minute talking about Illicit Auction. This has no place in the deck. It is hilarious. I found it when I was rolling through the Mirage Binder, and yeah. You just put a creature up that's in play for auction. So now, obviously, it's not going to be one of ours, right? We probably have the weakest creatures on the table, but somebody's got a force to be reckoned with out there. So, and I love the fact that it's not just 2-player. The last time I cast an Illicit Auction was probably back then when Mirage was a standard legal set, but the idea of casting this in a 4 or 5-player game tickles my funny bone a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Then we get into our removal, which mostly looks like artifact removal. We do have stuff like Active Volcano, pyroblast, combust, shatter, smelt, fissure. Now, yes, this is overpriced at 5 mana. But is it? Black is the destroying creature color, and black has unconditional 3 mana destroy target creature in murder, right? So that's 3 mana, 2 of which is black, of course. Fissure, you have the option of the land or the creature. Most of the time it's going to be the creature, unless, they've got the cradle out of the maze or whatever. But it's an instant speed for 5 mana in red that says destroy target creature. Or destroy target land. I don't know. I figured this is probably about in tune with the goblin technology, right? Do have Shatterstorm and Granulate to mess with artifacts. But our last, non-land card anyway, is Ancient Ruins. Here again, I don't think this sees enough. Now, I love the fact that the wording is Ancient Ruins deals the damage. So if you have Torbrand, it's 3 damage per. That can get lethal real quick. Even just 1 per. If they're sitting down with Brea, ooh. And then I've got just 4 non-basic lands, 2 of the cycle lands, the desert and the cave, a crystal vein for that, just the bump, And then same way with the Dwarven Ruins. Now, I was really excited about this deck, and I went to Architect, and I listed it all, and I went, hold on, what? This deck is under $37. Right. I mean, it's... I didn't set out to build it that way, but I wanted to maximize the Subira ability in... I want to play a bunch of small creatures. I want to attack with those small creatures and use that to draw me more cards, which are in fact more small creatures, so that I can just keep rolling. And even if, it's not if, it's when the board wipe happens, nothing is terribly expensive. We've got the mana to afford to be able to cast them again and again. Subira, anyway. I mean, Subira just being the engine in and of itself. And I was really floored that it being, under $37. Which is, I don't care who you are. That's budget right there. Now, yeah, I'm sure. I know there are probably better versions and more expensive versions and whatnot. But, I don't know, sometimes goblins, Anyway, that is all I have got for today. I do appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.